Dear viewers, welcome to the channel. I'm going to show you today how to create drum and bass like Pendulum. Obviously, this is a demo and it's pretty raw, so it's not going to sound like a finished product or anything, but here, let me give you an idea of what I'm talking about. One of the fundamental difficulties with creating drum and bass like Pendulum is that it is very hard to understand how they make their drums, and we solved this problem for you. Me and Citybox, we released 2 sample packs at arcsamples.com. I'm going to provide a link in the description, so if you want drums like this, you can get 2 packs at a discount. So you buy volume 2 for full price and you get a 50% discount to volume 1, and there's a bunch of interesting drums out there, and basses and kicks and snares and one shots and full drum loops and everything. So it's going to be really helpful if you want to make music similar to like Pendulum, DJ Fresh, Sub Focus, Culture Shock, all that dance floor cool stuff. So we're going to take a look into drums first, and as you can see, there are 2 drum loops right here. Both are from Arc Samples. This one is from Heavy Hitters Drum and Bass Volume 1, so let me show you the original drum loop. This is the loop that I used in some of my demos, but in this particular track I decided to use it as a background loop, and if we open Mixture we can see that the second track on the mixture is called Background Drum Loop, and I basically put this drum loop right here with a high pass and a little bit of sidechain. So the reason why I use sidechain here and high pass, it is that I want this drum loop to serve a different purpose than to be my main drum loop. I want it to fill this song with all the noises and all that background crunch. And for this reason, I have another drum loop right here, which is from Heavy Hitters Drum and Bass Volume 2. And this is how it sounds originally. But instead, I also cut out some of the low frequencies because it's in the same mixture track, so you can see here. And put together with sidechain. So sidechain is there, it's barely noticeable, so if I remove it, there's not much difference. But it kind of compresses the drum loop in a way that it helps for the kick and the snare transient to dominate in the mix. Also, one important side note, if you actually look at the loudness in the mix, let me turn off the loudness of FL Studio, you will see that these 2 drum loops are really loud, okay? So they're pushing the limits of the mix, very, very loud here. But the kick and the snare, which I'm about to show, are actually somewhere at around -2, -3. They are actually quieter. So the trick to making drums sound so splashy and powerful, so pendulumy, is that the background loops with all the noises and splashes and those hats, like all that stuff, they dominate in the mix and they beat your kick and snare. So let me show you what I mean. If I show you the drum loops with the kicks and the snares together, let me do that for you. Sorry, I forgot the sidechain. It does feel like the kick and the snare are extremely loud, but if you play them separately, they're actually quite insignificant. So these kick and snare, I took them from Heavy Hitters Drum and Bass Volume 2, folder kick, sample number 9, and the other one from the snare folder, and this snare is number 3. It's a pretty low snare. I think it's like 180 hertz, maybe, something like that, very low punch. So I listened to a lot of Pendulum back in the day, and I know that their snare is kind of a little bit pitched up. So what I did here is time stretched this sample a little bit, and I put kick and snare in the same mixture track right here, because they are so, like, this sample pack is so nicely mixed, you don't have to put everything separately all the time. And it's, I put some wave shaper to power them up a little bit, so a little bit of that distortion or saturation. You can use fab filter and anything like that. I like it like that. So I think there's also like one little white noise hat here that complements the drum loop very nicely, and these are the drums basically. So I kind of sorted the drums dilemma for you. If you want the sample packs, you can go to my description. There is a link where you can get 2 packs, but at a discount. So you buy volume number 2 for $10. And then if you go through the link that I gave you, volume number 1, after the first purchase, is going to be like 50% cheaper, so probably $5. So $15 for 2 packs, best drums you'll ever get. Also, there are a lot of basses here. You can hear a demo in the website, so it's fine. So the drums are really easy. You can see nothing special, so you need to have great samples. This is what we take out of here. So if you don't have good samples, nothing's gonna help. So these drums, they sound like there is insane processing going on. And I'll be honest with you, there is. Because, for example, this drum loop right here, it took me a really long time to find the correct samples, put them together, and put them out, and it did. But in the end of it all, we got these really nice harmonized noises, which make for a really great groovy sample. And as I said, this is not very easy to create such drums, so I advise you to get these 2 sample packs. And you can be very creative with them, so don't worry about this thing that you're gonna sound exactly like me or Citybox or like anyone else. Don't worry. Worst thing, you're gonna sound like Pendulum, so don't worry about that. Now we're going to look into the synth. Yeah, so I explained a little bit about the volume levels as well. Kicks and the snares are not the loudest elements. The background loops are the dominant. I use that in a lot of recent tracks, even some tracks that I'm going to release with Viper. So this is a really cool trick. So now we're going to talk about this thing that everybody loves. It's the pendulum lead. I'm going to remove all the unnecessary synths because there are some background synths which are not helpful. And let's play this for us. Obviously, I could have created a better melody, but I did this demo in like 1 hour of playing around, and I didn't care much about the idea. So let's talk about the pendulum lead. This lead right here, I had a feeling that it was like a guitar sound. So what I did was I basically opened Serum. I put 2 sol waves with a lot of voices, maximum unison and almost maximum, kind of experimenting around a little bit. Put a little bit of reverb on. And I used Guitar Rig, and I chose the sample, not a sample, but a preset called Metalcore Stereo. So this is how it sounds without it. And this is how it sounds with it. Then I used a little bit of equalizer, like double notch or something like that. I removed some of that low end. But I quickly realized that, this synth is not actually going to be like the dominant in the track because of how the Guitar Rig preset is consuming all the high end. And you can even see I tried to take it out from bottom, but it didn't work. So I copy pasted the same lead. It's pretty much the same. I added a compressor here to make it really loud and bright. See, it's like a multi-band. I didn't really adjust anything. I just pushed some gain and maybe a little bit of threshold. A little bit of reverb and removed some of that low end, because low end can be really really hard to mix in the song when you have a lot of that. So I pretty much pushed it to a next mixture track, which is number 8. I put some Timeless right here. Timeless is a really cool plugin where you can actually let me tell you something. I think it's in the wrong. Yeah, I think it's pure synth is how we're supposed to call this. And yeah. And this is like pendulum lead together. So since there are multiple layers, what I did was I created a mixture track for the guitar version. Then I created a mixture track for the pendulum clean lead. You can see it's called pure synth. And Timeless is here for some extra delay. I use Timeless a lot because all those sol synths are very, very common and people get tired of them a lot. So you need to add a little bit of that extra something to make it a little bit more, sit in the mix a little bit more creatively. And here's the interesting part. The next thing I did Oh, actually, I think I don't talk about limiters too much in this video, but I'll get back to them in the end. So next thing I did was, which was a surprise to me, I took a guitar by Ample Sound, which is Ample Guitar LP, which is a very basic guitar, but it comes with a bunch of presets. And the reason why this guitar is so fitting in this synth idea is that it doesn't have a slide key. So whenever like the lead synth slides up, you can hear the Ample guitar doesn't do that. So it sounds a little bit like there's a small delay there. It sounds very realistic. Also, I suppose that this guitar is played by a real player, or there's like an internal like digital setting in there that kind of makes these small like offsets. So every time you click the guitar, it isn't played perfectly like millisecond to millisecond. It's not a perfectly digital representation of guitar. So those small little delays together with guitar harmonics are what make the sound more realistic. So you can hear some of those delays if you really have a good ear, and that's what I mean. So in this guitar, I think I put it in the same, actually I put it to the same mixture track as the pure synth, simply because I needed a little bit of timeless and I didn't need much editing. We're gonna get back to limiters later. Okay, so this is pretty much it. So as you can see, if you have cool synths, if you have cool drums, pretty much you nailed it. The biggest problem is the drums. But once you got drums, and let me play that to you. I mean, it's going to sound really nice. I'm gonna remove the... So the background sounds are created with Vital, but for whatever reason, I think Vital doesn't work when I try to open it. Yeah, as you can see, it's not loading right here, but it's not important for the purpose of this video, actually. Like, the usage of this plugin is not important at all. These are just random presets that I used in the background. I will show you like how to create something else. So let's take a look at the bass right now. So this is like a mid bass layer that I made. A very simple laser synth that I made with Vital, but I don't really know how to make exactly the same with Serum. But I'm going to show you how you can make something similar so that you would actually find this video more useful. So you can use like, let's call it like a mid synth. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the preset which I found in Subfocus's video, whichever tutorial he made. In the digital folder of Oscillator, you can find this wavetable called I Can Has Kick. So what you can do is you can play around with the wavetable a little bit on the higher end of it, because otherwise it goes to nothingness. You will see. So what you can do is you can play around with this. And we can play around with some low pass. So I will show you how to create a very, very interesting synth that will definitely work with these drums. So once you got really nice drums and cool synths, what you will find out is that, you know, the mid bass and mid synths, they don't really require a lot of work. It's actually very easy to make a very simple sound that will work. And that's like pretty much it means that, you know, your life gets easier, because it's already hard as it is to create all these insane drums and synths. So you can make a synth like this and put it on like a separate mixture track. There are various instruments that you can use. I think like phase distortions and something like that, kilohertz distortions are pretty cool, and you can change things around. Let me try and launch one up. It's taking a little bit of time all the time, so okay. And you don't have to push these sounds loud. let them sit in the background of the mix, and add some of that side chaining, whichever way you do that. So now let's see how it sounds. So you can see I removed the main synth. It's not playing in the mix anymore. And these synths are playing along with the track. Let me turn things on. So as you can see, it's very easy. And pretty much the drums are making the whole song work. Even if your synths are kind of dumb and foolish a little bit, sometimes it still works. As you can see, this is very basic synthesis. Basically how you create the synths, basically how you create mid basses like this, or mid synths, doesn't matter, is by throwing a kick drum into an oscillator window. So like this. Okay, it was turned off. So you can put it right here and you will hear that little kick sound. This is how they work. It's a very, very easy and healthy recipe. I advise you all use that. And that's pretty much all there is to it. So the mid synth, you know, nothing much in the let me show you. Nothing much going on. So I removed some of those low ends if you have them. Because the serum synths that I just made, they don't have it. Some side chaining and obviously limiter to make sure that the loudness is not through the roof. And yes, so two very important notices about levels. One more time. Kick and snare, while you're used to them being the loudest elements, in a drum and bass track like this, they should be slightly behind the noisy background hats and percussion loops, which are driving the whole track forward. And mid basses and stuff like that should definitely be behind the sub bass. So if we check out the loudness of this Vital synth right here, so it's got like -12 or something. And if we check out my sub bass right here, it's like -6. It's very loud. So let's talk about sub bass. It's -2 octaves. I filtered out some high frequencies, because sometimes if you want to play around with the octaves, like this, for example, there will be an audible difference in loudness, like perceivable difference in loudness between the higher keys and the lower keys. And even though you can cut them out with like dynamic equalizer, I think it's sometimes easier just to low pass it. They will still be audible that way, but also a little bit more dull in the mix. So this is a basic sine wave. I don't think I have any harmonics, so it's a pure sine wave, and a little bit of soft clipping to add some of those extra harmonics that way. While you could do that here, I think sometimes it's a little bit unnecessarily harsh, so I do that with a soft clipper. So in the bass, as you can see, I controlled one of the, like this particular note, the first one. I controlled it a little bit because it was extremely loud, so it sounds better like that. And the second equalizer I got here, it's just to make sure that ultra low frequencies don't play in the sub bass. That's simply unnecessary for this track. Okay, so loudness is controlled here, and that's pretty much all there is to it. I think there's also one guitar playing right here. This guitar, I learned how to use it from Metric's tutorial. It's called Electric Sunburst Deluxe. So what I did was I opened the guitar preset. I didn't adjust it or anything. I just opened the Contact Electric Sunburst Deluxe Melody. Then I went to Contact and, well, first I put the guitar assign it to a mixture track, opened Guitar Rig 6, and, you know, it's actually a coincidence, but this is the same exact preset I used for my Pendulum lead. So it's metalcore stereo. I might have adjusted it a little bit, but like not something that will be super audible. And I removed that low end because we just need to make noise with that guitar. We want it to sound more industrial. So this is how it sounds without and with the guitar. That's a little bit of side chaining right here to make the, but also, as you can see, the side chaining for the guitar affects only frequencies from 2.36 kilohertz. So if there is any guitar lower than that, it's not gonna be side chained. I don't know why I did like that, but you know, it actually doesn't matter. It's how it's whatever you like. Do it the way that you like. So a little bit of limiter to make sure that it's in the proper loudness. And that's all there is to say about bass. So I think this is how you make a pendulum track pretty much. You can apply some vocals, add some guitar leads here and there, and drum transitions. I have a very simple drum transition right here, I think. It didn't work, so... So, yep, that is the lesson, but yeah, regarding limiter, it's basically like the way I use limiter, you're probably asking yourself how much it affects the end result and blah, blah, blah. It's basically my way of controlling loudness. So gain is just a gain knob, so it's pretty much like loudness, like a volume knob, and ceiling is the maximum amplitude to which the sound can play. So that means that anything that goes over the green line right here, as you can see, there is actually like a small thingy right here, like a small distortion. It's not going to be audible. It's going to be canceled out. So I'm trying to push loudness to plus 3 dB on my master channel, because then I find it that mixes are sounding a lot louder. You can go even further than that, but I mean, I don't need that. So then I gained all the sound in the mix by plus 6.5 to make sure that it hits the wall, but not too much, because if it hits the wall too much, what you will see happen is the sound will be really like eating itself from the inside out. So it's gonna sound like the volume is dropping, so make sure that doesn't happen. You see occasional spikes in loudness, occasional cancellations are fine. That's you pushing loudness, nothing bad. If I open a different limiter right now, you will see that the loudness is up, like it's almost a brick wall. It's very loud. That's what we want. We want a really loud and clean mix. And if you turn on the limiter right here, if we turn on the gain, you will be able to see it's minus 6.8, minus 7 LUFS, which is not the loudest, so you can push that a little bit as well. And now your mix is like minus 4.5, and that's really loud. So let's check that out. Obviously unmixed and stuff, but it's already like pretty much mastered. It sounds really nice. Just make sure to, you know, double check that sub bass, because it may be a little bit too loud. I noticed a little bit of distortion on that last chord, but it's fine. So what I'm going to do for you guys, I'm going to upload this mix in my Boosty account. So you can subscribe there for $5 and you can download this very project with all the sounds. And if you want more drums like this, definitely go ahead to Arc Samples. This is a website I created. This is an official company. You can buy them with PayPal. You can use your Amex, your MasterCard, everything for purchasing. And I bet you these are some of the best drums you're going to hear. So the link with the discount offer is in the description. If there's something else you would like to see, then leave a comment, and if it's worth, I'm gonna make a video about it. I hope you found this video helpful, and have a wonderful day. Bye.